Hello and welcome to my channel. As you know, I love all things Dyson, so we're going to be having a little bit of look of the changes that Dyson has made in their latest incarnation of the cordless vacuum, the V10, and a few simple servicing guides that, judging from the questions I've had, and thank you for all of those, most people seem to forget Dyson needs a lot of servicing to keep it optimum performance. So they don't take very long, but we'll have a look at those today. So a number of things have stayed the same: digital motors and obviously the way the concentric cyclones work, but there's been further changes. There's a different selection of power ratios now. You've got yet another go at the washable filter on the top. Every time we get a new Dyson, that seems to change. It's also like the docking bit for the power. They never seem to get that right. You have a much better battery system here. The battery life was always a problem with the early Vs, and you've got a little meter to let you know how that's going. If you vacuum everything on max power, you're not going to get the house done. So you will have to choose what mode you want for what task. And of course the biggest change is the fact the drum now is underneath and is a bit bigger. I find it a bit clunky actually to change the attachments now, but let me know what you think. Okay, so it's time to unbox. We'll have a look at what's inside with our new Dyson V10. So there is no shortage of boxes and bits and pieces that come inside with your Dyson, but everything can be recycled. There's no polystyrene there, so it's dead easy. So if you've been using a V8 and there's no change to attachments, you've got on the left here, you've got your soft roller for hard surfaces, and you've got your mainstay wide sweeping head there for carpets. You've got your little mini duster unit there. You've got the smaller motorised head, stairs and cars, and some slightly reworked attachments there. This one you can just slide back, and then you can see you've got quite a wide scoop there. One of the things that has changed is the dock. Now, every single Dyson I've had has had a different version of this. This one comes with a little fixing kit. I must admit I don't tend to bother fixing it because each year it's different and you'll be trying to fit something else. There was quite a complicated system of angles with the previous one, but this now, once you've threaded in your power cable, it just drops straight in, so it's actually a little bit easier to use. And then here we have the main body of the new V10. So each Dyson in the V series has a different coloured stem. I particularly dislike the V7 with the bright Barbie pink stem. The V8 was quite nice. I really like this new brassy colour, almost a sort of a metallic-y shimmer to it. It's really good. I'm a fan of this. Okay, so this is everything you'll find in the box. This has got the UK chunky plug, but if you're elsewhere in the world, it'll obviously come with the plug suitable for your country. Okay, so if you had a Dyson before, one of the things you'll know is all the different brush bars start out lovely and clean like this, but once you run them over the floor, they tend to look a bit more like this, with bits of hair that just gets tangled around all the time. And what you have to do with that is, and this applies to all the Dyson models and all the different bars, is you need a coin, unclip this here, and then you'll find that you have access to the brush bar. Check all of it. You'll find dust and hair can get in there as well. Give this a good clean, and then when you've cleaned that, pop it back in. It goes over the motor there, look. And this just clips back on. You twist it. And you use your coin just to lock that. So the latest big brush bar is certainly not as bad. You can see that by altering the diameter they've made this less of a problem, but you can still see that these hairs and things get caught there. So it's the same procedure: coin, unlock, and then the whole structure comes out. Now with the bigger bars, again, you've got a motor on the end. And my frustration with Dysons is if you're ever finding new spots that stuff gets trapped. So if we're looking at this one here, this is obviously a new V10, I've only had this a few weeks, so you can already see that fluff is getting trapped behind the motor there. Now if you leave that, that's going to be a problem. So I think you can see some more there, look. So you can't get at it from this side because obviously you've got the clear cover, so you need to get at that. So this whole thing is the motor that's driving the bar, it sits inside the brush. But not only do you have the hairs that you need to get off the cylinder itself, but you'll find inside the unit as well that you get a fair build up of dust and debris. Can you see that there? And this has all got to be cleaned, and I have to do this each month. So it would be nice if Dyson, you know, the whole thing of this is about, as an asthmatic for me, is not having to go near the dust and having an easy way to empty the rubbish without going near paper bags. But the maintenance of it, I think, exposes you to lots of fine particle dust that just seem to get stuck everywhere in the blessed motor. I've only had my V10 less than a month, and this was all that was trapped in the motor of that main brush bar. So you've got sort of fluffy material, and you've got very sort of dusty, chalky material. Certainly not as bad with the hairs, which used to be the main problem, but it's still there. Now this is even more exacerbated when you start to look at how to clean that main cylinder, so we'll have a go at that next. Okay, so I'm going to film the next bit just on a white background there so you can see what residue comes out of this as we start to have a look inside the Dyson. So one of the changes with the V10 is the fact you've got 3 power settings, which is quite fun and quite useful. So you can tell just by the loudness, I think. So if we try number 1 here, there's a very odd thing, I don't know if you can get it at the end, but when you let go of the trigger, there's a sort of a springy boing sound, as though Tigger has just suddenly come into the room. I don't know if, can you hear that? And none of the other V models do that. I don't know what it is, but it is quite fun. So we're going to slide that up to the next one. Obviously that's notably higher. And then we've got the max mode, which is really good for deep cleaning carpets. Remember, you're really eating into your battery life if you do that. So on the new battery pack that comes with the V10, and presumably all the models going forward, there is just 2 screws to take this off, and then you can replace it, which is good if you start to get a shorter battery life. And over a period you do the same as your mobile phone, but it does have an extra little LED gauge there to show you how much battery is left when you're vacuuming your house. It tells you if it's blocked. It also tells you if the filters need to be cleaned, but remember, this is something you should be doing once a month anyway. So although it's a different shape, like all the recent Dysons, you've got your very important HEPA filter at the back here. So this one is just simple, and it just twists off. It's a lot more substantial than any of the other ones that the machines have had, and the early one didn't really have a removable filter at all. So for this one, what you would do with this is you would stand that under the tap, let the water run into there, make sure the water runs clear, and then leave it to dry for 24 hours, not on a radiator, because some radiators will get hot enough that they'll distort the shape of the plastic. So just let that dry out, and you can already see with this that there is some build up of dust on this after a couple of weeks. So it's doing its job, but like a filter in a car, it's got to be cleaned, and this is once a month, or you're going to start having problems with the performance of your vacuum. Okay, so we're going to empty the Dyson now. The system for emptying is different. Again, you used to get a problem with hair build-up. You can see that there's some hair tangled there. We'll see if that comes out. So on the V10 now, you've got a button here that you slide down, and that opens everything up, and then you can see most of that comes away, which is very good. So that's what will go in the bin. What we're going to do is we're going to go one stage further in a moment, and you'll notice there's an extra little button here. What that one does, it releases the whole of the clear plastic carriage, so if you do have any build-up of hairs elsewhere, you can see there's some stuff poking out there, this allows you to get at that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the card, because we can see obviously we've got a fair bit of dust, but you'd expect that because you've just emptied the Dyson. But how much does come out now when we further look what was left inside the machine? Okay, so you're now looking at the machine after it's been emptied. We're going to push our other button here. This means that the whole of the carriage comes off, and this allows you to get at any other dirt and debris that stayed on the machine. And again, I think once a month this is probably important to do it. You can see here just how much builds up on this, and if we tap it, you can see instantly there's another load of dust and debris that's coming out of the machine. And what you should really do is give this a good brush here, and this will clean this now metal filter, which is good, and make sure you haven't got any hairs or anything like that trapped in there. So that needs another good clean. Now at the top here you can see some other little screws, and I have noticed some other YouTubers saying you can take that apart and clean inside there. If you start to go down to actually dismantling the machine, you're going to invalidate your warranty, and it's not that necessary. If you can see it and it looks dirty, then you need to clean it. If it's inside the guts of the machine behind special screws, leave well alone. I think there's more of a chance you're going to break your Dyson than get it performing super duper an extra 0.5% better because you've removed some of the dust inside. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to redock. We've pushed the magic button there, so now we redock our Dyson. Just line that up. Click one is that safety, and then click two, and we're completely back together again. Now let me know how you get on with this new fitting. Personally, I find there's a slight bit of wobble with the main bits and pieces, and I've even noticed that there is a tendency for dirt to build up here, which is the power to the motors on these. So that's how they clip in and clip out, but it does feel a bit odd to me. I'm not sure I like it as much as the way the V8 docked. But let me know what you think. So if you've had your Dyson quite a while, maybe after 2 or 3 years, and the battery life has started to fade, then you can buy new ones off Dyson. I think I'd stick to just buying actual Dyson ones. You need to undo those 2 screws we spoke about earlier. The whole thing then just undocks, the new one docks, 2 more screws in. Very simply, recharge, you're ready to go. So that's a simple solution to an older Dyson. I think I did mention earlier that there does seem to be a myriad of places that dust can build up on Dysons. You can see some in there, but even where the motor bit fits there, if you look above it, look, even this little blanked off bit here is picking up all the dust. Now it was doing that in the V8. If you just made that flat, then surely it isn't going to pick up the dust. Any of these little gaps that is left on the Dyson just seems to fill up with this grey sooty stuff, which for me as an asthmatic I'm convinced is not ideal. It would be better if it was just all smoother design, I think, with less places for the dust to get stuck. So please let me know what you think, and if you have similar issues. Thank you to the thousands of you who've left likes and questions and comments on my other Dyson videos. I'm glad you're enjoying your machines as much as I am. So have a wonderful Christmas. I hope Santa brings you a lovely new Dyson and you have a great time. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.